Yo, what's going on, you guys? I'm back once again. Do a video on, well, this right here is going to be my UFC 116 predictions. Um, I'm only going to be predicting, one fight. You all know what that is. Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin. I'm only going to predict one fight for right now, at least. But I just want to give my thoughts on this. Man, oh man. Hey, listen, man. I just want to go and set something straight for the record. I just want to say something. Hey, listen. Brock Lesnar has no chance in this fight. Well, let me take that back. Everybody has a one-punch knockout chance. Obviously, the Todd Duffy fight. But hey, listen, man. If the UFC don't stage this fight and fix this fight like they've done some fights in the past. Oh yes, the UFC has had some fixed fights in the past. I had a video on that. I touched on some interesting points, a lot of good points. I don't know that that video kept getting deleted for somehow. I don't know why. Maybe I was touching up on some good things, but I'll make a video about it again. But like I say, I love the UFC and I like them. But listen, man, the UFC. Let's just set the record straight. UFC wants Brock Lesnar to remain the champion. He's too much of a draw. He's a pay-per-view juggernaut. He listen. They cannot afford to have Brock Lesnar lose against a guy who does not draw that many pay-per-view, buys. I mean, yeah, he could, they could build him up to be some good pay-per-view draw, but why let him, knock the main guy in the heavyweight division that draws people in for right now? Check this out. If Brock Lesnar were to lose against Shane Carwin, all the mystique and all the, let's just say the hype, Brock Lesnar versus Fedor, and all the intensity and how can I say this, man? I was hoping, people wanted to make that fight happen and wanted to see it, and oh man, I wonder who can win. That will be no more. Yeah, people still watch them fight if they got in the ring together. Yeah, of course, but it would not be as big as basically Brock Lesnar versus Fedor is like Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather almost. You know what I'm saying? You got one guy that's just good in technique, and you got this one guy who just fights real hard and jumps on top of you and bam, bam, bam. Everybody wants to see this fight. They're good at what they do. And like I say, if he were to lose, that would get rid of a little bit of that. And if he gets knocked out by Shane Carwin, let me say that would just kind of, it would take away from some of the hype, around him and Fedor. You know what I'm saying? So I got a good mind that UFC might stage this fight. Shane Carwin might, they might pay Shane Carwin and say, hey, listen, man, what do you care about most? Having money or some stupid, pride. Pride versus money. You wanna knock Brock Lesnar out and have the belt, but don't make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Or you wanna make a lot of money and feed your family. And when if you get hurt or something, you can fall back to this, and or when you've had a long career, when it's over, you won't just be broke like a Ken Shamrock or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? Which one is more important to you? Winning this fight, or making $600,000. You know what I'm saying? That you wouldn't have made. You know what I'm saying? Which one? I think Shane. Like I say, I think he's a pretty stand-up, straight guy, and if he's the guy I think he is, I think he'll go for the self-respect. Over money. You know what I'm saying? I think he'd be like, forget money. He has a job on the side. Like I say, he's keeping his job. And like for one thing, UFC does not want to see Brock Lesnar fight a guy like Shane Carwin. Someone like that who's a good wrestler. I'm not saying he's a good as wrestler as Brock, but he's obviously a good wrestler. He hits hell of a lot harder than Brock Lesnar. Why would UFC want to? If listen, man, if UFC could, they'd have Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir every single time they fight, and that's what they were hoping and praying for. What would have happened against Brock Lesnar? Against Shane Carwin versus Frank Mir. It didn't happen. Did you see the look on Brock Lesnar's face and Dana White's face when Shane Carwin destroyed Frank Mir, beating to a fucking pulp? Beat the fuck out of him. Did you see their faces? They were like, damn, what the fuck are we going to do? Brock Lesnar was like, damn, Dana, you promised me Frank Mir would submit this son of a bitch, and it would be, Brock versus Mir 3, and I could pound a hole in his head some more, get some easy money, and just delay more time and fight somebody that's real good. I'm not saying that Frank Mir isn't real good. Frank Mir is my favorite. Fedor and Frank Mir are my favorite heavyweights. You know what I'm saying? And Alistair Overeem is somewhere in that mix too. But Fedor and Frank Mir, my top favorite heavyweights. It's not that Frank Mir is all that good. It's just that I like Frank Mir, period. You know what I'm saying? But I have to admit, Frank Mir is not that good. Frank Mir is good on the ground. He has some, I'm not going to say Frank Mir has the best submissions, but to me, he has the most powerful submissions. If he gets a hold of anything, if he locks a hold of anything, your ass is in trouble. You understand what I'm saying? This guy has pit bull grip. He'll break your arm, break your leg. That's what it is about him. His stand-up isn't great. I got a feeling that Chuck Congo through the fight. I don't think that Frank Mir beat Chuck Congo. I think, listen, man, it's another story. I'll get to that, but the punch didn't look real to me. It just did not look real. That's my thoughts on that. Take it how you want it, but that's me. But back on the topic, I'm going to tell you this video is going to go into 2 because I'm not able to record past 5 minutes. It may have already cut off on me. I've been talking, but I'm going to go to part 2. So hopefully you guys follow me. I got some interesting thoughts on this fight, man. Keep up with me, man. It's going down.